All right, hello everyone, and we're finally live. It's a first live stream talking about UX design careers and getting into UX design. Let me just check whether everything's working fine in terms of sound and connectivity. Sound should be fine. Yes, everything's running live nicely. Okay. So first things first, let's set a little bit of house rules for the live streams that I'm going to be doing for UX Coach. The idea behind these live streams is to help you, an aspiring UX designer. It doesn't matter what stage you're at with your career. Preferably you're at a very early stage where you want to enter UX design as your career of choice. The difference between a career and a job is that career is something that you really love to do and are looking to do for a long time. And a job is something that you usually don't like to do, even hate to do, and just want to get out of. Okay, now for any one of you that's watching this live, I'm looking to get questions. The idea is that these would be a live, real world question and answer type sessions where I am answering your question that you have because you are the person that's looking to get into UX design as your career. And I'm a person who has spent actually 15 years doing UX design for various different types of clients. And for I've actually taught UX design formally at different places, both at university level as well as at adult colleges with dedicated courses, and coached and mentored different people throughout my career. Now, also, there is an opportunity for you to jump on this live stream as well and ask me questions as we go along. So you can literally be on this live stream. This is all streamed live to YouTube as we speak, and it will stay on YouTube most likely for a few days before we either turn it into a private video or just take it off altogether. So please do join and ask. I'm just going to wait to see if there's any more people who want to join on. So just as we wait a couple more seconds for somebody to join, let me just turn off the washing machine, literally, and let the cat out. So this is how we do this. Like, it's unscripted, it's live, it's raw, and you get to see my house as well. Just a second. And there is a cat that's going to be let out. All right. So as this is the first live stream, everything's very raw and unscripted, as I said, and whoever joins. You're also welcome to ask questions on the YouTube video that's streaming right now. And so if you ask questions there, I will be able to pick them up and answer them. Just in general, let me, meanwhile, talk about UX design and getting into UX design as your career, as I get my tabs organized here to see if there's any questions coming in. UX design seems to be an increasingly more and more popular choice for many people to get into as their career. And I've found this to be the case with a lot of internet-related and digital-related callings, let's say, that as things become kind of sexy and well-paid, A lot of people want to get into it because a lot of people want to make more money, and that's perfectly fine reason to get into something. I personally, I'm the first person who wouldn't be wanting to do something that is very highly skilled and requires a lot of learning and skill development in knowledge, or as Tai Lopez says, knowledge. I wouldn't want to be doing it for peanuts, you know. So that's one of the reasons why people want to get into UX design. And another reason is because they really want to do something that they love. In fact, we run a survey, and we run this survey quite frequently with UX Coach, and we will be continuing to do this as it's a very important insight for us into why people want to do UX design. So I'm going to, as this is, as I said, it's ad hoc, unscripted, so give me a second to bring this up. So we've been asking people why they want to get into UX design, and people have been actually mostly saying that the reason why they want to get into it is because they love creating. I'm literally looking at the results of our survey. They love to create. They want to make an impact. That's the next most popular choice. They want to have a career, which I touched on. And I want to have a fun job. So career and a fun job is kind of a similar sort of thing. And only really a few people said, you know, I want more money. So really it's people are wanting to be creative at work as the dominant reason, okay, for getting into UX design. And so if you are one of those, you know, that's perfectly normal, natural, and healthy way to be. But as I was traveling back here, I find myself actually doing a lot of work now in terms of plotting out UX design as a field, so end to end, as well as actually plotting out people's career progression and where they sort of sit in the process of going from this sort of embryo or an egg of an idea of becoming a UX designer to actually being some sort of superhuman UX designer that is sitting here with loads of experience, knowledge, and you know, lots of projects that they've done and so on. So that's actually something that I'm plotting out, and it will become a deliverable that we can all take a look at and really reference back to. And maybe you can also point on that deliverable to see where you're at the moment and what is kind of ahead of you. Now, let me explain to you how I got into UX design. I got into UX design kind of not by choice. I was a full stack developer. Full stack developer means a person who's developing the full stack of applications. Usually the stack is made up of backend, middle tier, which is all the kind of algorithms, the processing layer, and then the front end, which is mostly what the UX designers are designing. So I was actually developing all those three tiers on a big e-commerce website. Please ask questions if you have any questions. Either jump on the live stream here with me on the Google Hangouts. The link is in the UX group, or ask questions on the YouTube for those of you who are watching. I'll pick them up and answer them here. That's the whole point. So yeah, I was building these e-commerce websites in full stack, and I was literally working day and night, literally, to wrangle all this stuff up. I studied computer science, and I was really kind of prepped up to be a fully fledged software engineer, really. And as I got into the industry, this was back in roughly 2003 or 4, I'd realized that a lot of these people were just building things based on sort of gut feel and not really understanding the complexity of how complicated and a lot of time and effort and sometimes impossible things were to build. but also mostly they weren't really at all cognizant of the fact that it was going to be end humans, like users, human people, who are going to be using this kind of stuff. And I quickly clocked onto the fact that I was a person who cared enough about other humans to actually get a lot more higher up in the stream of decision making, which is where UX designers sit. So they're not coders or developers; they're deciding on what gets coded and developed. So I wanted to get a lot more there, and I basically ventured into that space through choice, and a lot of these things are personal choice, right? If you think you want to get into UX design and that's something that you really, really want to do, I'm here to tell you that you can. It's your own choice, and given enough focus time and persistence and, you know, developing your skills and thinking, most importantly, you'll get there. And it's always easier to do it with a coach. It's always easier to do it with a coach. Why? Because the coach has already stepped into many different landmines that exist on this path to UX successful career. And that UX coach can tell you, like, avoid those landmines, basically, and you can have a lot more blissful path to your UX enlightenment, so to speak. So as I got into UX design, I basically had to beg, steal, and borrow skills and knowledge from lots of other people on my way, and I had to just go to events, go to read books. Books is the worst way to learn something, because the retention rate is 2 to 3%. You might not even want to read the book. You don't have the time to read the book, and even if you spend a month or two reading the book, you'll retain 2 to 3% from it. So I'm counter to lots of other people that might be thinking as to it's, a lot of people may suggest to you to read books. I'm suggesting don't read books so much. Certainly not as your prime way of learning. Okay, it's much more valuable to be doing practical things, to be coached by somebody who knows their craft, and to be just basically doing things practically. Okay, and then when you read books, you'll have something to correlate your experience, personal experience with, as opposed to start by reading lots of books and then you don't know what they're talking about. And that's a lot of wasted time, I'd say. So I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn a really hard way. And in many respects, I'm still learning. I think the learning journey is continuous and forever. I think even when somebody dies, right, they're still learning in that dead stage, to sort of take it to the absolute extreme. So learning continues, but the idea here is to get to a level of mastery as quickly as you possibly can, and in a straight line as possible. Okay, because if you think about I often nowadays think of like painters or composers, amazing composers of the times past, like Mozart or Leonardo da Vinci and so on, Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci. Those people were actually designers in many respects, because the art that they were creating was often created based on commission. So big classical works were actually commissioned by the royalty of the time and the monarchy of the time. So in that sense, Mozart was more of a designer in many cases than an artist. Okay, and that's a difference between design and art, is that often, most of the time, art is something that the artist creates to just sort of make a point without any real sort of formal brief and a sort of point or a purpose, whereas design is something that's a lot more about functional, reasonable need for creating things that improve human lives. Okay, and so design is a lot more intentional in terms of that functional sense than art, which is a lot about just kind of impacting on maybe people's thoughts and things like that, but it's not so much practical a thing. And then in many respects, the engineering is the other side, which is all about like how things work, okay, and the architecture of things. Now, when you blend engineering and art, you get design somewhere in the middle, okay. And so for me, as a software engineer and a computer scientist, I had to go from this extreme end all the way a lot more to the artistic end, to blend it into design, namaste, and sort of bring it into that balance. It's, I could talk about this forever, but some of the questions, you know, that people ask often at the time, and I've spoken to a lot of designers or aspiring designers, and you know, questions are, how do I get into UX design? And really, like with any other type of job or a role, you will need to develop the knowledge. Okay, title of is knowledge. You'll need to develop the knowledge, and you will also need to develop your skills and prove to other people that you've actually got the knowledge and that you've got the skills. I've got to develop some sort of word for skills, like skills. So knowledge and skills, and really, if you've read a book, you don't really have knowledge. And unless you've done something, you can't really have skills. Like, if you think you can play a piano without ever playing piano, you're deluding yourself, okay? So you have to play a piano to be able to have the skill of playing piano. And this is why it's important to be working on projects, okay? That's how you develop skills. Knowledge you can gain by listening, reading, observing, and so on. But unless you put that knowledge into practice and turn it into skills, you will not become a UX designer. And for UX design career to start, you have to have at least some sort of a portfolio. Now I'm doing my praying hands there. You know, it's like, please build a portfolio. So you have to have some sort of a portfolio, and increasingly that some sort of portfolio is not enough. You need to have a portfolio that is good enough to get you into a job that you are looking for. All right, so we've got a question from Ashutosh. Thank you so much. I'll pick this up. Please bring in questions as much as possible. This is for you purely. I know all this off by heart. I talk about this all the time. So this is purely for you. Please bring the questions in. So you need to develop some sort of portfolio, and that portfolio needs to be good enough. And what does it mean for it to be good enough? I can increase my screen brightness here so you can see me better. The portfolio needs to be good enough to get you the job that you're looking for. And if you're looking for some sort of intern trainee position, your portfolio doesn't have to be absolutely smashing. But if you're looking to get into some sort of like a junior UX designer or just UX designer, your portfolio needs to be pretty good. If you're obviously looking to get into mid-level senior positions, your portfolio has to be absolutely perfect. I can tell you this from personal experience. I am still doing work in UX design. You know, I'm still interviewing regularly for UX design positions, and you know, there is competition. There are competition at every single stage. There's competition at intern level. There's competition at just regular junior level. There's competition at mid-level. There's competition at senior level. There's the competition for coaching. For Jonathan Ive at Apple has competition. Somebody is competition to Jonathan Ive, and so your portfolio is going to have to be good enough for the role that you're looking for. It also depends on how high you set your expectations. Now, we have people who have expectations of spending a few hours being coached. They don't know anything about UX design, a few hours getting coached and going straight into what is equivalent of a sort of UX designer role or a mid-level UX designer role, okay? That's not gonna happen. Those expectations are unrealistic. And I'm not here to, you know, degrade anybody or reduce hope or anything like that. I'm quite the opposite. I'm looking to show you the way. I think my 12-year-old son's one of the memes that show me the way, something like that. I'm here to show you the way, how to get there in a meaningful and reasonable way, in a way that is manageable, that's not going to overwhelm you, and a way that is also prosperous and progressive for you, so that every, let's say, 6 to 12 months, you're actually scaling up. You're climbing the ladder of UX career, and at every stage, you're actually having fun. You're loving your work, and you're being creative, and it's adding value to your life as well as everyone else's that you're designing for. Right, let's take this question now. So Ashutosh, I might ask you to reframe your question or rephrase your question, because I might not understand it. Otherwise, also, I might understand it in the way that I understand it, in which might not be intended the way you thought of it. So Ashutosh Chavan is saying, train in academics first or train on a job. Okay, so what he's saying, so first of all, I want to answer this question by stating something. And I've been saying this to all my coachee students, okay? The art of asking a question is one of the most profound things you can develop as a thinker of any kind, okay? Being able to ask a good question is a superpower, okay? Superpower, okay? So always think about, if you're asking somebody a question, think about, can I ask this question in a better way? Because depending on what you ask, you are going to be getting the answer based on the framing of your question, okay? So the way Ashutosh framed this question, train in academics first or train on a job. So it's kind of framing it like those are the only two options, which there may be, but it's like, that may perhaps a better way to phrase that question would be, what's the best way to train for UX design career, okay? And so also he's used the word or, okay? Or train in academics or train on the job. It's like an exclusive way, right? It's either you're doing this or you're doing that. Personally, I'm a fan of and. Change the or for and. So what you want to be doing in my world, and this is, you know, from my heart and soul to you, okay, for absolutely free, from 15 years worth of design experience as well, and working with some of the most incredible clients on the planet, okay. By the way, you can, I'm going to post a link to the portfolio, my portfolio, so you can browse that as well. So there it is. It's jasongrant.in/UX. Okay, jasongrant.in/UX. Feel free to look at my previous clients and so on. So you don't ever really want to just be learning by academics only or by just the job. Okay, you want to be blending both of those. Why? Because academia, if it's good stuff, let's say stuff that you might pick up from books or the progressive thinkers, dare I say I'm one of them because I'm thinking about this 24/7. Because I'm interested in both knowing how to do UX design, but also how to teach and coach it. And I'm always learning that better and progressing and improving. So the academia, if it's good material and good knowledge, if it's good knowledge, it will be cutting edge. It will be ahead, potentially, of the work that you're doing at a company. If you're working at a company that's a bit behind the trends, which most companies are behind the trends, okay? So you might be learning at work something that's kind of outdated, or processes and ways that are outdated. Side note, most companies are not there to train you how to do things. Most companies expecting you to know stuff. That's why they're hiring you. They're not hiring you to teach you. They're hiring you for you to know stuff. At least you need to know something, right? At least you need to know that knowledge from academia, and then you can go and apply that knowledge practically. if you can, which you can't. But let's say then the company will give you some scope for learning on the job and so on. Some of it, maybe 10-20%. So you want to blend the two. You want to be getting as much of the cutting edge academic knowledge or theoretical knowledge, and then learning as much on the job or on the projects. Often the time you'll find that actually the best way you can learn is by working on your own project. Or if you can work with some cutting edge person that is really heart and soul dedicated into UX design, right? Then that person will be pushing you all the time. Like, you can do better than this. This is awesome. Now you're going to do better. Then you do better. And it's like, this is awesome. Now you're going to do better. And they're always going to be pushing you. One of the guys I coached, he came to me and interviewed without knowing any English language. He was in England for 3 months. And I was open-minded enough to sort of see, like, how can somebody turn up for an interview with 3 months knowledge of English. And it transpired that this guy was really, really dedicated, and he was willing to learn both from books and from just copying and emulating what I was doing and observing, and just really dedicating himself. A few years later, that guy is now designing voice interfaces for Amazon, Alexa, and Echo. Okay, and it's like, really, that stuff is pure language stuff, and he's still learning English. In some respects, he probably knows English better than I do now, and I've been in UK for 25 years. So now, we interact on Twitter and so on, and I ask him, can you teach me some English? Because people have gone from nothing to beyond my knowledge, and I'm really proud of that. That I've coached and mentored that guy, and I took him on board and really shaped his career for the rest of his life. Because if I didn't hire him, he would probably give up and not go into UX design. Okay, so you want to combine academic and train on the job. Now with UX Coach, what we're doing is we're saying you're going to be learning the theory, which is in the set courses that we have, and some of the formal theoretical knowledge. But then you're also doing projects that can hire you into a job that can then maybe teach you. But then you can set yourself the next goal to become, instead of a junior designer, to become mid-level designer, and maybe double your salary. And after you become a mid-level designer, where this kind of senior designer, right, and double your salary again. It's easy in UK. You can be earning a salary of £100,000 a year. On permanent. If you're a contractor, you can be earning more than that, and it's relatively easy to get into that once you have the knowledge and skills, right, and experience, certainly. All right, so and with UX Coach, we're offering you both knowledge, skills, and experience to add to your toolkit and portfolio, and then to leverage yourself into next stage. Okay, so now we have another question. Hello, I'm Sabrina. Thank you for the live. What are recruiters looking in an intern or junior UX designer? Recruiters, and so this is not a side note before I answer the question. I deal with recruiters every single day of my life. There is no way in living hell I can ever stop them from calling me, right? I'm on every recruiter's database, okay? And they call me every day because there's, on our CRM, there is about 513 recruiters that we have on our CRM, okay? And out of those 530, 1 or 2 call every day. They ask me, am I available for roles? Do I know anybody else that's looking? And most of the time I've been saying I'm not looking, and I don't know anybody else that's looking. Now I switch that around and I'm saying, well, actually I want to know people who are looking and to be able to recommend them. And I also want to really know what recruiters are looking for. So I'm speaking to them all the time and interacting and actually befriending them. And in fact, one of our UX meetups is going to have a recruiter coming in to tell people formally what they're looking for in junior and early stage roles. But basically, it's not recruiters who are looking for something in interns or juniors. It's the actual hiring managers, which I've been in the role of for many times and still am, right? It's us lot who are looking for interns and juniors. And we decide what we're looking for. And I can tell you firsthand what we're looking for. So in an intern or a junior, we're looking for somebody who is sticking out of the norm one way or another. And I'm going to be brutally honest with you. This is kind of like sometimes truth hurts, but it shall set you free. Whew. Okay, let me take a breath on this one. The quality of academia in the last decade or so, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, okay, the quality of academia has gone really down, okay? The way I thought when I was learning at university on a master's degree, it was like really sort of felt like it was really quite basic knowledge, and and it wasn't practical enough, which is both true. But now, when I go and I'm guest lecturing at universities, I'm looking at people who are students, and they're like glazed over. It's like the light is on, but nobody's home. Okay, so the actual most graduates that are coming out of uni, let's say, are just don't know anything practically. They've spent God knows what they've done at uni, but mostly gone parties and slept in late. That's kind of how I'm experiencing it. So actually, to differentiate yourself as an intern or a junior UX designer, what needs to happen is that you need to set yourself apart from the other people, and the way you set yourself apart is by showing practical work that you've done. You've gone out of your way. It wasn't a set assignment that you had at uni and you kind of just about did it. Most of these students at uni, they just kind of just about managed to do an assignment. You're a person who has done the assignment and they smashed it and they took it beyond the brief, you know, and done something amazing with it. But you've also set your own assignment. You've actually found other work. You've helped a charity redesign their webpage or sign-up process. You've actually helped a friend in a startup help, work on a project and so designed and consulted there and just basically joined the team there. In with your studies, I'm assuming that Sabrina is studying at uni or something. Please post in comments if you are studying at uni, or I'm assuming you're a student. By the way, if anyone wants to join on the Hangouts, I just posted a Hangout link, so you're welcome to join and have a direct conversation with me. That would be cool. So you want to differentiate yourself from other interns and juniors, and what we are looking for is that dedication. We're looking for dedication. We're looking for a portfolio. Even though you might have not worked at all, you're actually showing that you're working on things and that you're active, either in the helping out at meetups. You're active in some sort of community. Maybe you're writing a blog post. Maybe you're running a side project or a project that you're working on. So if you're not working in a paid job, you should be working in a non-paid job. So like always like be developing your skills. Yeah. So Sabrina is saying, I've graduated in Italy in 2016 in Interfaces Communication Technologies, the only degree of HCI in Italy. Okay. So this is important context here. Human-computer interaction as a kind of discipline is something that we even studied way back when I was studying in 1999 to 2002. I was doing my computer science degree, and HCI, human-computer interaction, was a thing back then. And that stuff hasn't necessarily evolved that much at all, although some institutions really, really rate it high. So there are certain human-computer interaction master's degree here in London that are highly rated, and where people tend to get hired from almost directly for certain type of roles in big industries and big corporations that are looking for kind of formally qualified and process-oriented, mostly researchers, really. But if you're looking to do practical UX design and be working on designing projects that are actually visible to us hiring managers, you really need to show practically that you've done stuff and to be able to present that. So one of the things, check this out. This is the way people would differentiate themselves. This is an opportunity for you to differentiate. Here's how you can differentiate yourself. Right now, this thing, which 4 of you are watching. Now, I'll tell you how many people have signed up to the event in the group. 20 said they're going. 4 are watching, including 1 me. So 3 are watching, okay? What's 3? I'm going to actually, this is how bad this is, okay? I'll show you how bad the reality of the world is, okay? So 3 divided by 20 is 15%, okay? 15% of people turn up to the live stream. Out of 3 of you who are watching, none of you are willing to jump on the Google Hangouts and speak to me face to face. So 0% of people showing up. If you want a job in UX design, you got to show up, okay? There is a book written called How to Swim with Sharks and Not Get Eaten Alive. And the guy who wrote that book says, the way to succeed in life is to follow the following. This is how it works. Show up. You're ahead of 80% of people. Show up on time, which I failed because I was late, okay? But this is a free session. I'm not getting paid for this. So I'm allowed to be 10 minutes late on my own free session. Show up on time, you're ahead of 90% of people. Show up on time with the plan, okay, 95% people. Show up on time with a plan and put it into action, and you're ahead of 100% of people, okay? So Sabrina is saying the Hangouts link is not working. Okay, let's see if we can fix this somehow. We should be able to somehow join that. What? Tell me in the comments, please. What's it saying? It might be sometimes with the Google Hangouts live stream, it doesn't work. So maybe that's a technical reason why people are not showing up on the Hangout, and you know, that's fair enough. We'll be doing these actually regularly, so you know, bear with me on the first one as I get a little bit into flow. But yeah, you want to show up on time with a plan and put it into action. If your plan is to prove to somebody and show interesting. Some Hangouts actually has a UX bug to it, I think, which sometimes doesn't allow people to join on the live stream. So if people can't join, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for another one. Maybe I'll do it in a week's time again, and with some different points and topics. Please keep asking questions. So you want to differentiate yourself however you can. It also helps to create some sort of personal brand. So if you take a look at my portfolio, I've been working quite a lot on my personal brand, and that helps because people are like, oh yeah, so he's thinking also about who he is as a person. I'm talking about myself here, who he is as Jason Grant as a person. What do I believe in? What do I not believe in? So for example, I'm never going to work on defense industry contracts, you know, because you know I've survived the war in Bosnia 3 years. I'm not looking to design bombs, okay? That's just that. You're not going to see me designing bombs, but you will see me designing spiritual products that help people reconnect with their soul and become better humans, okay? So that we don't need bombs in the world anymore, okay? So I know that for a fact, and people can then appreciate or not appreciate that. If I ever go to a bomb-making company, I'll say to them, I hate bombs. I don't want to make bombs, okay? But some other good company will appreciate that. And they'll say, great, this is the kind of people we want to hire, okay? So it starts with a personal brand and then showing up to your personal brand and values and qualities and integrity, and then, you know, turning up on time with a plan and putting it into action. Now, The guy that I hired who couldn't speak English, when I said to him, look, what's the lowest price you would work for me for? Gave the exact right answer. He said, I'd work for you for free just to learn and emulate and gain experience working with you. And I said, that's a correct answer. You know, there's a statement in English language that says beggars can't be choosers. Okay. Now, he wasn't exactly a beggar, but somebody turning up in England, not knowing how to speak English. He turned up, by the way, with a dictionary, which I saw even as a good thing, because it was like, well, I don't know how to speak English, so I'll bring a dictionary. So I was like, he knows how to use tools. And he said, maybe sometimes I might have to refer to this. And I thought, okay, well, let's see how he uses the dictionary, because if he's able and willing to use the dictionary and show up, even with that kind of shameful thing, so to speak, you know, this guy is probably dedicated. So, and he was, and he's still dedicated. And that's why he's working as a UX designer at Amazon. It's not that easy to get UX design positions at Amazon, but it's possible, right? Should you wish to turn up on time with a plan and put it into action, which he did. And he deserves everything he got. Okay, everyone deserves everything they got, really. So I hope that answers it. So what we're looking for is dedication, people showing up. And all of you that showed up live on this live stream, well done. Tap yourselves on the back and please take my advice into account. Now, it helps to be coached by somebody, because that coach is going to cut through the BS. Look up what BS means. I don't want to swear in the live stream. But yeah, that coach is going to cut through the BS and show you the way. Okay. So somebody else, Shah A, is saying, in your opinion, how open are top employers to hiring junior level UX designers who have completed a UX short course but do not hold a degree in a related field or have related work experience? Now, this is a very good question and very relevant question. You take a breath to think of the most succinct answers. Sometimes I can veer away in a sort of branch off direction, but I always come back. I promise you, I always come back. So there are certain minority of employers who are open-minded and in some sort of situation where they are in a position to hire junior level UX designers or interns, okay? And those kind of employers might be some recruitment agencies that are aware of the fact that they are, so not recruitment, some design agencies, okay, that are aware of the fact that they have to sort of nurture designers from the ground up. Now, the issue with design agencies is because a lot of people want to work at UX and design agencies. An example of one in UK here being LBI. I think they're now called LBI Gravitas. LBI is an amazing design agency. There's another one called Sapient Nitro or Us2 and so on. So a lot of, or AKQA. Coincidentally, the guy I mentored who couldn't speak English, he ended up working at AKQA on Nike Plus project. I was like, wow, that's an amazing project. So some agencies will hire interns to nurture them and so on, but they'll probably then be looking to hire people who either got a pure, some sort of UX design course that they've done, maybe at a degree. It really doesn't so much matter, for as long as you can really show to them that you've done amazing work and that you're really dedicated, okay? And also some big corporations will be cognizant of having essentially an opportunity to hire more juniors. Also, sometimes you will have startups who are willing to give interns or juniors opportunity to design for them. Why? Because usually they can't afford a fully fledged senior person like myself who is on 6-figure salaries and beyond. So those are kind of your opportunities to start off at, and yeah, work your way up from there. Remember, always Your personal brand helps, your portfolio helps, showing work. If you've got no portfolio, you basically have no chance. That's it, right? So you need some sort of portfolio, and you need to do it by hook or by crook. Now, notice also, I've been in the industry for 15 years, and I still today do jobs that are free. I still today do free jobs. Why? Because I love what I do. I'm also exploring new areas. So I'll carefully remember that with a plan. With a plan, I'll pick a job that I want to do, venture into a new area where I want to kind of pivot to. So I've done a lot of work in banking space, in government, in gaming, and in media. Okay, so now if I want to pivot into, let's say, blockchain, which is quite a new thing, or natural interfaces, I might be going to my guy at Amazon and begging him, saying, "Can you get me some like project to help? Can I be your assistant?" Right? He used to be my assistant at work. I'll be like, now I want to be your assistant because I want to be working also with Amazon or at Amazon. I'll be willing to do that and say, well, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours per day working on that project, maybe for free. Why? Because maybe my salary is going to go to 7 figures at some point, if that's sort of what I'm thinking is strategically clever for me to do. So, you know, you make that investment. You make the investment of time and dedication. With UX Coach, we're looking to make this simpler for people so that they can pick projects, actual living projects, and this is what we have, real world living projects that people can work on that can both count towards their experience as well as portfolio, as well as you get coached by myself and other coaches that will be joining. And then you learn, develop skills, do a project, and you have an experience. That's why we're designing it, because we know that these are the sort of obstacles and barriers and pain points that people are overcoming when they're looking to get into UX design, right? So Sabrina is asking another question, which is any website or places in London where to do volunteering jobs for building experience. I found difficult also to find internships and not paid jobs. Okay. Now, okay, so this is the other thing, which is why this is another reason why we're building out UX Coach platform. And I invite any one of you to help me and our team to co-design this and get involved. Okay. So UX design as a field, I was evangelizing UX design way back before it was even like known anywhere as UX design. And evangelizing means like you're preaching around and you're telling companies you need to hire UX designers. You need to start doing UX design. You can't just be building software. You can't just be like putting things together thinking that you know exactly what you're doing and you've never spoken to a single person. That's what evangelizing means. I spent weeks and months of my life evangelizing UX design. And from that, you end up being perceived as an expert in the field because you're always talking about this. So people then start saying, can you help us do this? Can you do that? And so on. So you got to get out there and join the community. And one of the ways that we're looking to make this simpler, because nowadays we have this kind of like Uber, society where everyone's just expecting everything to be on the button. I was like, can I just press it, like, call me an Uber, and the Uber will show up. And I've noticed this even. People have got to such a point. This is sidetrack, but it's important, relevant to this, right? People got to such a point where you're expecting an Uber to show up in 3 minutes. Now, when it says 4 minutes, you're like, this Uber is taking so long, right? So people have zero patience for most part, so now that people have zero patience, what we're looking to build as aspect of UX Coach is these kind of on-demand projects. So you can literally press a button and find yourself a project, okay? So that's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to do this by combining community and coaches and students and all these kind of things. And from that, we're going to source more and more projects. We have projects already through UX Coach that you can work on. and you can you know, develop your experience and so on. You can also help out on designing UX Coach itself, and you know, be shouted out about. You know, I'll talk about you if you help out. So so it's difficult, but you got to get out there. And with UX Coach, we're looking to make this simpler and simpler, Uber-like. Okay. And there's so many different ways to UX design that. It could be like Tinder, you know, imagine Tinder for UX projects. And it's like, do I want to work on this brief? No. Do I want, yeah. Do I want, like, no, yeah. And then maybe you get matched on the other side. So whoever's running the project, they might pick you as well. Like, do I like them? No, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. So let's interview these people and so on. So we might make something like that, okay? And we're certainly working on that. Now, how the experience is going to be rendered is almost irrelevant to some extent, because there is demand for this. Okay. Next question is any of the coaching face-to-face, or is it all done online? Now, depending where you live in, I live in UK, in London, so we can do face-to-face in London, but most of the time we do live, because even London is, I think of London as a country. So the reason why I was late to this is coming back from the client's office, and then everything was chock-a-block, traffic, etc. By the time I got back, I was already 10 minutes late to this live stream. So if you want to be coached face-to-face, that can be arranged, but most of the time this works well, because here we can do live streams that get recorded. So all our coaching is recorded live and then made to you available in your UX Coach dashboard after you log in as an on-demand, for you to rewatch a billion times if you want again, and you know, that's there for you, and it's a sort of unique way in which we are coaching people. So actually, most people prefer to be coached through this means, literally like this, and to then be able to refer back. Why? Because the recall, even from a coaching session, is maybe 5 to 10%. Like 90% of so that's why we do it this way. Now my live stream is hung up on the YouTube, so it's going. I'll block this up. That's cool. Just double checking everything's working fine. Yeah, cool. So yeah, with UX Coach, you get coached, you work on projects, you're building up your experience, and you're getting direct real world feedback from me all the time. And that's that. So I think at this point, if there's no more questions, it looks like the live stream is playing up a little bit. So maybe that's a sign that we're into sort of almost an hour here. So maybe it's a good time to switch this off and call it a day. Now, one more thing, if you've got as far as here, I would like to offer you free 15 minutes of coaching through UX Coach. All you got to do is go to uxcoach.me and sign up there. And you can actually then book a slot with me, 15 minutes, which will be also recorded. You can ask me questions about career. You can ask me questions about anything you want, and we'll record that and make it available in your UX Coach platform absolutely free. And then if, you know, coaching is the right choice for you and right solution, and if you're really serious about getting into UX design, serious in the most playful way, then, you know, we can decide to work together. And, you know, maybe you might end up working at Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Google, Facebook, or wherever, right, yourself. So we'll do this more often, you know, maybe once every couple of weeks, most likely, maybe once every week, but half an hour and so on. Let's get them a little bit more streamlined and organized. I'll look to people to ask questions up front. So yeah, thank you very much all for joining, and head over to uxcoach.me and sign up there with your LinkedIn profile. One click there, one click to book a session with me, and you know, I look forward to actually speaking to you on an actual Google Hangout that allows you to join, unlike this one. The next time, God willing, it will work. So thank you so much, and all the best on your journey to UX. So much more to reveal going forward as I'm putting together this blueprint on how to get into UX design, step-by-step guide, and so where you might be and how much ahead of you there is to both learn, develop skills, and explore and knowledge. I had to say that one. Bye-bye. Take care.